Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today it's going to be Shooter Space Shot for the Sony PlayStation. This was a budget shoot-'em-up released in about 2000 or 2001 in North America. And, you know, when it came out, I bought it and I wasn't really impressed with it. And it wasn't until just a couple weeks ago that I decided to finally spend some real quality time with it and finish it for the first time and sort of learn it a little bit. I'm not a master at it. Obviously, I just, finished it for the first time a couple weeks ago, but I do actually enjoy the game now. I used to, speak bad things about this game for the longest time just because it just left a bad taste in my mouth when I first bought it all those years ago. Part of the reason is this full motion video. It's full motion video that's pretty much so bad it's good. It's when I was streaming this on Twitch, people were just laughing their butts off at this, and it is kind of out of place. Once you start playing the game itself, it's a shmup, and just, to me, story segments like this, integrated, between shmup stages, just has never really jived with me. It's never really worked for me personally. Some people like it, I don't. So I think this is also one reason why I never bothered to go back to the game. I don't know. It just didn't seem very polished to me, and it just didn't seem to really fit. I mean, well, the full motion video definitely was not polished, even for when it came out, but it just didn't seem to fit, and that always kind of was a turnoff for me. But once you get into the game, once you learn the mechanics and whatnot, I think it's actually a pretty solid shooter for the system. I mean, the PlayStation in North America doesn't really have like legitimately terrible shooters or anything like that. Like, even the bottom of the barrel is still fun on PlayStation, which is kind of nice. And I used to think this was the worst, but now after playing it and learning the mechanics, I think it's actually a little bit higher up. It's definitely a fun game, especially for the price these days. Like, as of doing this video, it is still basically a budget title. You can still get them for 10 bucks brand new, and it's totally worth it for that price. I mean, even if it goes up just a little bit, 15 bucks, it's, once you learn the mechanics and whatnot, I totally think it's still worth the price. So yeah, let's go ahead and just skip this, and before we jump into the game, as usual, I'm going to give a big shout out to my current Patreon backers. So they're going to flash by the screen. Thank you guys for your continued patronage. And also the recent live stream super chatters are going to flash by as well. So thank you guys for your direct patronage as well. Let's go ahead and load my data, even though I don't really have any data. I think I have a score or two, and that's it. When I was streaming this on Twitch, I actually had reset the console after many game sessions, and thinking my data would still be in the system memory, but it wasn't, and so I lost all my scores before saving it to the memory card. So we're going to actually be skipping through a lot of the full motion video in this game, and then I'm basically going to be cutting out the playthrough, after the final boss. This is going to be a really short Let's Play because the stages are pretty short and there are only 5 of them. So yeah, into the game now. Basically, you've got your main spread shot here. And actually, it's not always a spread shot. You can actually make it a sort of, a direct shot like this, which is more powerful. You can also turn it backwards. You can turn it in any direction you want, which is actually kind of cool. So it's definitely a neat gameplay mechanic. You've also got a boost mechanic, which actually makes you invincible for a few frames. So you can actually go through bullets. There's also a combo multiplier that builds, which actually multiplies the value of the score you get when you boost through bullets or boost into enemies. So scoring well in this game really requires you to boost through bullets constantly and smash into enemies when you're in your boost mode. You can basically do that by pressing the L1 trigger. Sorry, not L1, R1 trigger. A little dyslexic today. R2 will let you do this laser, and if you notice on the top of the screen when I use these things, the boost and my laser, it builds up a meter at the top. You don't want that meter going to the far right. If it goes all the way to the right, it'll instigate a cooldown period, and you won't be able to use your laser or your boost. Your boost is extremely important in this game for one, just getting around the screen quickly, because look at your stock movement here. You are super slow in this game, so that's what the boost mechanic is for. So not only is it good for going through bullets, getting some extra points and things like that, remaining invincible for a short period of time, it's also good for just getting around the screen quickly. Now, holding down the X button, you can actually bring out this lock-on system, and you can lock on up to 16 enemies. So you've got these homing missiles. They're not super powerful, but they are nice. They are nice that there are a lot of enemies on screen. And they're great for boss fights in particular. One of which is coming up right here. So on boss fights, I always just use a mixture of my laser, my normal shot, and my homing missiles. And we're going to be boosting through bullets, again, as many times as we possibly can. And he's going to do a big laser attack. He's going to do what we used to call an Insta Beam. Some friends and I would call them Insta Beams. Basically lasers that just come out, you know, they're not there 1 second, then the next second they are. There's no like wind up period. It's just bam, they're out. And if you're in their way, you are dead. You are so dead. So yeah, you'll notice on the bottom left-hand portion of the screen, there's actually a combo meter that appears when you go through bullets with your boost attack, or if you smash into enemies. So the idea is to constantly go through bullets while boosting, and smashing through enemies while boosting. Once you get that multiplier up to like times 10, those things start to become really big points. So the scoring in this game just can snowball like crazy. So this is actually kind of a cool level too, because there's actually a little bit of an underwater effect, which is pretty neat. I like it when shooters do stuff like that. R-Type Delta is another good example. I mean, R-Type Delta does it way better, but, you know, it's nice to see, like, a cheap budget game like this still have some nice attention to detail here and there. You'll notice the graphics aren't that great in this game, especially by 2000 standards. The visuals were pretty terrible for PS1. You know, the texture quality is, you know, the color usage is almost non-existent. It's just very muted, dark colors. The quality overall is just kind of gaudy, but, you know, there's still some good, you know, like three-dimensional depth here. So you do still have some large environments and things like that, which is cool. And I always like these water effects. You know, you come up out of the water and it splashes. I like it when shooters, you know, have a little bit of extra detail like that. But yeah, I mean, really, this one, to me, it's all about the gameplay, and I actually like the music too. I actually like this soundtrack quite a bit now. I'm glad that I've gone through the whole game finally, because it's let me see some other things about the game that I didn't really see before, because I had only played like the first or second level. The boss fights are also pretty solid, if you ask me. I think they're pretty well designed. The biggest problem with them is just there's so much slowdown. The slowdown is the absolute worst on boss fights. See, I should have actually sat in the middle there. That was an easy pattern to just, you know, milk the boss on. This boss is kind of nice because he doesn't really dash across the screen or anything. I noticed the bosses that go on both sides of the screen are the toughest to deal with. But this guy doesn't really do that, which is nice. He just kind of sits back. This next boss is probably one of the trickier ones for me, and you guys will see what I mean once we get to it. But I have a couple strategies for it that will help us just kind of, you know, ease our way through the fight. So this is where I'd say the game starts to get a little more difficult, and part of that is because you have enemies that constantly come from, you know, both sides of the screen. And so this is where you really got to start watching out for enemies, you know, coming in from behind. There we go. Got a ×8 boost there. That was nice. It's actually nicer if you can get... If you really want to milk points in this game, you have to boost into pretty much everything. And you've got to figure out the stages, figure out how to link your boosts together to get, like, ×20, ×30, you know, on your combo meter. That's where the points really start to skyrocket. And the scoring system in this game is actually really unbalanced, unfortunately. And this is actually one of my sort of legitimate complaints with the game, is that you don't really score very well when you play the game normally. Like, not at all. Your regular shots here, they're pretty much worth nothing as far as points. They're very, very small points. Comboing on the, getting your combo meter up on the bottom left, it doesn't affect anything other than your boost attack. So there's no extra strategy involved where it's like, okay, smash into enemies, then shoot enemies. Oh, I died. That was horrible. I'm not aiming for perfection here, but I definitely don't want to lose lives if I can avoid it. Because I wouldn't mind getting a 1 credit clear. That would be nice. Alright, so he's going to shoot a laser, so we're just going to sit up here like this. He's going to switch sides, and we're just going to get over like that. But yeah, the combo meter, it's only good for your boost. And that's where the big points are. You have to boost into enemies and bullets. For one, that builds your combo meter, but that combo meter also only affects boosting, which I don't know if it was like an oversight or, maybe it just wasn't fleshed out. Maybe they wanted to flesh it out, the developers, but they didn't. I don't know. But I think the system would have been a lot more enjoyable if you could boost and build your combo up, but then that combo multiplier also applied towards your regular shots and missiles and things like that. In a lot of shooters that have, missile lock-on systems, a lot of times those will be a form of a multiplier as well. So, like, the more enemies you lock onto at once, the more points you get. But nope, it's not the case in this game. So, your regular shot and your missiles, they don't really, those are like the lowest scoring options. And same with your laser charge attack. As far as the big points are concerned, it's all about smashing into enemies and building that combo meter. So, one of the things that's also kind of disappointing about that is if you're trying to go for a 1 credit clear, if you're playing the game normally, you're not likely to get an extra life. Because the extra life thresholds are very large. They're very high. And so unless you're just smashing into everything, you're probably not even going to see an extra life in your playthrough. But the game will give you extra lives if you do well enough. Oh, see, I'm smashing into enemies left and right. One of the other issues with this game is the frame rate can get kind of low, and that'll actually make dodging and actually seeing the enemies fly in a little difficult. Some enemies will fly in like 2 or 3 frames. Like, they're not there 1 second, and the next second they're there. Kind of like an Insta Beam. And it's, very difficult to, to predict them. It's very difficult to react to them when they fly in. And that's just a polish issue, and that's just because the frame rate is so choppy, it's difficult to react. But that's not all the time, and you start to sort of learn where the enemies, are going to come in from. And you just, that's something that comes with repeat plays. You get better with that as you play the game more. But, the thing about games like these is I like to be as reactionary as I can, before I've really learned the game. And when the frame rate is low like that, it's difficult to be reactionary properly. So the enemy patterns that I'd be able to react to and dodge just fine on a first attempt, I can't really do that in this because the frame rate causes them to just almost magically instantly appear. So this guy right here, I really need to keep my boost free because these things are tough to deal with. So you pretty much have to boost through them. And I really want to take this guy out about as quickly as possible. So we're going to be using our laser attack as well. Bam, got him. Yeah, so he'll go from one side to the next and do like a spread shot, or a spread pattern of bullets. But then there's also like this almost full screen laser attack where he spins around with these big lasers. And it's actually difficult to tell where the hitboxes are for those, even with boosting. So I prefer to just kill that guy before he even gets to that phase. But yeah, this is our final stage in the game. We have 1 life left. So let's hope we can do this. If we don't do this on our first try, we've got to go through the whole level again. And it's not really a big deal because, you know, this isn't exactly going to be the longest Let's Play known to man. But, you know, I'd like to get a 1 credit clear. That'd be nice. You know, I'm definitely not an expert at this game. Like I said, I just beat this for the first time just a couple weeks ago. And, so I definitely do not know this like I know other shooters on the PS1. Yeah, so I don't know if I even explained it, but you do have a shield mechanic in this game, so it's denoted in the top left-hand portion of the screen. So bullets will not generally kill you in 1 hit. Now, if there's a stream of bullets and you run into multiple bullets at once, chances are it will kill you. So your shield can go down and deplete very, very quickly. Also, if you smash into enemies in this game, it's bad. You will die very, very quickly if you do that. So that's why the boost mechanic is also very dangerous. Like, if you're trying to combo for points, you'll find yourself comboing enemies left and right, but you'll mistime one of them, and you'll just land right on top of an enemy, and you'll die instantly. So there is definitely risk versus reward when it comes to the scoring system. And it definitely is... Ooh, see, just like that. An enemy came in, they just landed right on top of me, I died. So this is our final boss here. There are 3 phases here. And the idea is to try to get through this first and second phase without dying. Because if I do, the checkpoint will actually be at the last phase of the final boss. There we go, that's phase 1. And on to phase 2. Yeah, one other thing about this game too is that I've played it so little over the years that I still don't have a lot of these patterns memorized. And the only reason I'm even able to do this right now, after admittedly messing up, you know, right when we first got here, you know, I almost ran into some of the bullets, is I did a couple practice runs before this. I did 2 practice runs, and then I did 1 attempted, you know, Let's Play, failed it, got to the final boss, and I was like, ah, that was terrible. This game is so short, let me do it again. We're just gonna skip through that. And so that's why I'm able to dodge some of these patterns, you know, seemingly almost naturally. But the fact is, man, it took me multiple playthroughs just to be able to get back to this comfort level. And there are some shmups where I don't have that problem. But this one I do. Just something about it. So this guy is a grind. He is a grind. It's definitely an endurance match, for sure. So this pink orb in the middle, you don't want to touch that. That'll kill you. He's going to come over to the other side of the screen. Then the pink orb explodes. So what I recommend doing, you can either just sit sort of like, you know, around the middle of the screen. You can dodge the exploding orb. But I prefer to just use my boost at the right time. I think that's the easiest way to deal with it. think I actually took a hit there too. And bam, just like that. Just boost, and then boost, and boost. Ooh, that was close. Again, when you're boosting, you've got to watch out where you actually land. You don't want to land on top of a bullet or on top of an enemy. Yeah, as you can see, this guy takes a ton of damage to take out. And just boost. Took another hit. You know, this is actually, you know, pretty easy pattern to follow. Nice, we just got it. So we just beat the game. You know, that was a roughly 20-minute long Let's Play. And that's pretty much it. So like I said, I'm not going to let the FMV roll out. I'm just going to, you know, cut the Let's Play off from there. But that's Shooter Space Shot, also known as Simple 1500, The Shooting in Japan. It was originally released in Japan. And a lot of those Simple 1500 series games were localized to North America by companies like H-Tech via their A1 Games line. There were a couple of other budget releases that came out back then as well. Natsumi even released a couple. Yeah, cheap game when it came out. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way when I first played it because of its overall quality, and the gameplay didn't click with me. So, you know, the overall quality of like the visuals and stuff you can get past if the gameplay is really good, but I didn't understand the gameplay when I first played it. So it wasn't until just a few weeks ago that, you know, the game finally clicked with me, and now I think it's a pretty cool game. I do like it quite a bit, so if you're looking for a different shmup to play on your PS1 and you haven't tried this and you want to learn the mechanics, then I'd say give it a shot. It's cheap. So, I mean, that should kind of sell itself right there. it's cheap. And, you know, in this collector climate of lots of games from this era being expensive now, cheap is good. So, but yeah, I don't really have anything else to say, guys. Yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, as usual, leave them down below. Also, thanks again to all of our Patreon backers and Super Chatters. If you're brand new to my channel, consider subscribing. I've got a ton of Let's Plays on here and many more to come. For everyone already subbed, thanks as usual for your support. And until the next one, take it easy.